Chair recognizes Mr. LaTurner from Kansas for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During the summer of 2021, there was much debate in Congress regarding American military presence in Afghanistan. There was passionate discourse, even within the Republican Party, over the matter. But nearly 2 years later, we've reached a policy consensus. The Biden administration's botched withdrawal from Afghanistan was an unmitigated disaster. Despite 4 months of prep time, the failed evacuation was marred by poor decision-making and incoherent operational logistics every step of the way. This began with President choosing to make the State Department responsible for withdrawal rather than allowing our military leadership at DoD to determine how best to protect our service members and American interest. Abandoning Bagram, our most strategic and fortified foothold in Afghanistan, before the evacuation was even complete, led to thousands of Americans and SIV holders stranded behind enemy lines. The premature abandonment also left the Taliban armed with a vast arsenal of American military equipment, approximately 23,000 armored vehicles and 165 helicopters or fixed-wing aircraft, in addition to 550,000 firearms, which were promptly turned upon the people of Afghanistan and the last of our remaining troops. It doesn't take State Department credentials or a degree in foreign affairs to realize terms of withdrawal negotiated with a terrorist state, one that openly chants death to America, shouldn't be taken at face value. President Biden's decision to entrust our enemies to secure our perimeter around Kabul's airport as the city descended into chaos and violence resulted in the death of 13 brave United States service members. Weeks before this debacle unfolded, President Biden made the ill-fated prediction that, and I quote, "There's going to be no circumstance for you to see people being lifted off the roof of an embassy of the United States from Afghanistan." Just 36 days later, we saw people being lifted off the roof of an embassy of the United States from Afghanistan. The disastrous withdrawal has lasting implications beyond the fact that we now lack a militaristic presence in the preeminent terrorism hub of the world, the region in which the 9/11 attacks were plotted. Chinese state media openly refer to the Afghan effect as an accelerant of international instability, which has emboldened them to increasingly test the waters regarding an invasion of Taiwan. Vladimir Putin witnessed this weakness and lack of leadership and started building up troops on Ukraine's border a mere month later. Our botched evacuation underscores much of the geopolitical upheaval we're witnessing today, and it all could have been avoided had the Biden administration simply not rushed our withdrawal to meet an arbitrary deadline. President Biden is our commander-in-chief, and the buck stops with him. For Mr. Storch and Ms. Shaw, no American service members were killed in action between the signing of the Doha Agreement and President Trump's departure from office. The Doha Agreement was conditions-based, but the Taliban wasn't abiding by the deal. Do you believe the Biden administration had ample time to renegotiate the deal between assuming office and the withdrawal from Afghanistan had they so wished?
We haven't done any audits or evaluations, any independent oversight that would address that issue. There are a lot of factors that go into it. We did report out on the chronology in the lead IG reports, but other than that, we haven't done any work on that.
The same is true for state OIG.
Do you have opinions about this?
So I will share with you, I think what makes the work of OIGs impactful is that we have rigorous standards and procedures that we follow to produce our oversight products, and that's true for all of us. So I appreciate the opportunity to testify, but on these sort of issues, if we haven't done the work, we can't really testify.
On. Troops on the ground surrounding the Kabul airport were allegedly ordered not to intervene in passport seizure operations by the Taliban. Can either of you identify which member of either the State Department or DoD that issued that stand-down order?
I have no information on that, I'm sorry.
I don't either. It's potentially covered in some of our upcoming work, so we can take that as a get back.
Why hasn't there been any good faith effort to identify this individual?
I can tell you that the scope of our work is looking at the full range of events as they unfolded. The department had a role to play, and so we're looking at each aspect of that. I don't know if that particular issue is a major focal point of the work. We had a broader scope.
Wouldn't you agree that that's an important piece of information as we're trying to get to the bottom of what happened and hold people accountable within the administration?
Our work is primarily looking for opportunities for recommendations, so we are looking at policies and procedures. Now, if we do identify information that suggests that there was misconduct on the part of a particular individual, we would, of course, investigate that. I am not aware of any allegations along those lines.
Same answer here.
I yield back, Mr. Chairman.